Okay, big news from the Department of Defense. They're fundamentally changing the rule book for cybersecurity risk management, really shifting the focus points for every single contractor out there.
Yeah, it's definitely not just a small tweak, is it?
No, not at all. Well, it's a strategic pivot. It basically dictates who wins, or maybe even who qualifies for it, the next wave of DoD contracts.
Okay.
So our mission today, our deep dive, is to unpack this massive transition. We're looking specifically at the move away from the old document-heavy risk management framework, the RMF.
Which everyone knows and, well, maybe doesn't love.
Right. And towards this new thing,
Yes.
the Cybersecurity Risk Management Construct, or CSRMC. We've dug into the source material to pull out what really matters in this new world.
And crucially.
And yeah, critically figure out how you as an organization can get ready for this today.
Mm-hmm. You know, the RMF, it was always a point-in-time snapshot, wasn't it? It was about checking boxes, writing things down.
Documenting intent, basically.
Exactly. What's so interesting here, what the DoD is signaling with CSRMC is a deliberate shift. It's about proving performance.
Okay.
And this new framework, it really hammers home three key areas: automation, survivability, and continuous monitoring.
Right.
Yeah. If you take away just one thing today, it should be those three pillars. That's really the aha moment here.
Mm-hmm.
Compliance now is about real-time resilience, not just, binders full of paper sitting on a shelf.
That distinction is huge, documentation versus actually demonstrating it continuously.
Logically.
Okay, so let's talk about the immediate pressure point then, the economics of all this. Because for defense contractors, especially the small and medium guys,
Yeah, the SMBs.
the goal has to be getting audit ready for CMMC, like right now.
Which is already a big lift for many.
While also setting themselves up for CSRMC tomorrow. And ideally finding a solution that doesn't mean they have to rip and replace their platform halfway through contract.
Exactly right. And that core value, what the sources are pointing to, is being able to hit both targets, CMMC now and CSRMC later, without that typical enterprise software price tag.
Ah, the cost factor.
Yeah, the market seems to be favoring these, let's call them cost-shared, streamlined platforms. They're often aiming for a monthly cost that's, well, significantly lower than the big, heavy enterprise solutions.
That affordability piece is absolutely key, isn't it? Especially for smaller businesses who are really watching that cost-value equation. They need something effective for CMMC, but it can't break the bank.
And that price point, which, based on what we're seeing, seems to land around what you'd expect for a decent multi-user SaaS tool, it comes bundled with specific features that solve real immediate headaches.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so one thing is simple training evidence tracking.
Oh, okay.
This is actually huge because it means you don't necessarily need to shell out for an expensive, complicated learning management system, an LMS, right at the start.
Just to prove that, Bob in accounting finished his cybersecurity awareness module.
Exactly. Just to track that mandatory training, it gets you over that initial hurdle.
Yeah, that makes sense. And LMS is probably overkill for a lot of smaller shops anyway.
Definitely.
What about that survivability piece you mentioned earlier? That sounds inherently kind of complex and expensive.
It sounds that way, I agree. But the tools are getting smarter, more adaptive. We're seeing platforms offer what they call built-in resilience
Yeah.
right out of the box.
How does that work?
Well, they do it by automatically linking up with cloud providers, think AWS, and running automated checks on backups and restores.
Okay.
So it provides real, demonstrable initial steps toward meeting those tougher CSRMC survivability requirements.
Without needing a dedicated disaster recovery team on staff.
Right. And then operationally, something contractors desperately need are those centralized audit-ready dashboards.
Right.
Something that pulls all the required evidence, logs, policies, screenshots into one place for that C3PAO review.
Okay, hang on. Let's quickly decode that acronym soup for anyone listening. C3PAO, that's the Certified Third-Party Assessment Organization. They're the auditors, the folks who actually certify you for CMMC.
Exactly. The assessors.
So these dashboards, they're basically making the assessor's job easier, which hopefully makes your audit go a lot smoother.
Precisely. It's all about reducing friction, making the whole compliance lifecycle less painful.
Okay, let's peek under the hood a bit more then. What features are typically in that core package, the essential toolkit? We need to be sure that affordability isn't, accidentally sacrificing security, especially when sensitive contract data might be floating around.
The security architecture is, of course, paramount, non-negotiable. A key safeguard highlighted in the sources is dedicated tenant isolation and security.
Meaning
Every customer gets their own separate isolated space, their own dedicated SSL certificate, and mandatory multi-factor authentication. MFA, for access.
Standard stuff, but critical.
Absolutely critical. But here's a really key policy insight, a design choice. The most effective tools we're seeing are designed specifically never to store the actual sensitive data itself. No CUI that's controlled unclassified information or FCI federal contract information.
Oh, that's clever. So the system manages the compliance, but it doesn't actually hold the crown jewels, so to speak.
Exactly. By ensuring the compliance management system itself never holds the sensitive CUI or FCI, you dramatically shrink the attack surface. And it massively simplifies the compliance scope for the tool itself.
That's brilliant. Reduces liability, too, I imagine.
It's a core design principle for reducing liability, yes.
Yeah.
And then on the documentation side, that core package absolutely must include editable policies, procedures, and maybe most importantly, plain language guidance.
Not just technical jargon.
Right. Guidance that's clearly mapped to the CMMC controls and NIST 800-171 requirements. You know, we saw so many organizations under RMF just drowning in technical speak. CSRMC seems to demand more clarity for actual implementation.
Okay, and this is where we start tying implementation back to that automation tenet of CSRMC you mentioned. These efficiency features, they're not just nice-to-haves anymore, are they?
No, they're pretty much prerequisites if you want to achieve genuine continuous monitoring.
So tell us about these dynamic SSPs and POA&Ms. That sounds fancy.
Well, what's fascinating here is how they're automating processes that used to be incredibly laborious. Think about system security plans, SSPs, and plans of action and milestones, POA&Ms.
Hours and hours of work.
Exactly. The ability now to automatically generate these just from some simple scoping inputs you provide up front, it's a total game changer. RMF needed huge amounts of human effort just to draft these documents. CSRMC is about leveraging technology to keep them dynamically updated, living documents.
Okay, that is a massive time saver, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second. If a POA&M, the plan for fixing weaknesses is generated automatically. How do we make sure the actual remediation, the fixing, gets done? Isn't there a risk of just creating check-the-box automation without any real security improvement?
That's a really important question. And it's precisely why the system also needs robust workflow and task management built in.
Oh, okay.
The software has to let you create those specific remediation tasks, assign them to owners, track their status, log the effort involved. Automation here means automating the documentation of the effort, not replacing the security work itself.
I see. So it automates the proof, not the actual procedure.
Got it. Right. It maintains team alignment and provides that auditable trail of continuous action.
Makes sense. And, okay, beyond managing your own house, third-party risk is always a huge piece of the compliance puzzle.
Absolutely enormous, which is why a vendor risk module is pretty much essential now.
What does that do?
It lets you issue questionnaires to your vendors, often using templates already mapped to CMMC requirements, and then pull their answers directly into your overall security posture assessment. You simply can't achieve continuous monitoring if you have big blind spots in your supply chain.
Yeah, good point. And speaking as someone who may have lived through an RMF audit or two, the simple existence of an evidence repository, just one central place for all your logs, policies, screenshots, training certificates, that alone feels like it's worth its weight in gold. No more last-minute scrambling.
That centralization is absolutely non-negotiable for CSRMC readiness. And when you pair that with something called audit readiness mode,
What's that?
it's the ability to essentially simulate a C3PAO review before the real auditors show up.
Oh, like a practice run.
Exactly. It fundamentally changes the psychology of the assessment. It helps eliminate that surprise factor and lets you confirm you're actually ready.
I like the sound of that.
And just quickly, for larger organizations or MSPs, managed service providers, the platform has to support managing multiple OSCs, that's organizational scopes, securely from one interface. You need that multi-tenant capability.
Right, managing different clients or divisions. Okay,
Right.
So here's where it gets really interesting for me. Let's connect all these operational features back to those big CSRMC policy mandates. We said CSRMC is all about automation, survivability, and continuous monitoring.
Right. So if we map these core features we've discussed back to the CSRMC tenets, you see a lot of alignment right out of the box.
Okay.
Automation,
Yeah.
fully covered. You've got automated control mapping, gap assessments, those real-time dashboards we talked about,
Checks that box.
continuous monitoring, and ATO, that's authority to operate, is handled through the ongoing posture tracking, the automated reminders, the task management.
Got it. And crucially, you mentioned earlier that we're seeing alignment on two other really high-value tenets, reciprocity and inheritance.
Yes, And these are huge efficiency drivers. Reciprocity is the ability to reuse evidence. So if you document a control once for one system or contract, you could potentially reuse that proof for another one.
Meaning you don't have to rebuild your entire security package from scratch every single time you win a new piece of work?
Exactly. Huge time and cost saver. And inheritance is also critical for cost reduction. This lets you, as a contractor, fully inherit security controls from the secure platforms you're already using.
Like AWS or Microsoft GCC High.
Or secure file sharing systems like Prevail. Yeah. You don't have to document, say, the physical security of the data center if your cloud provider has already done it and gives you that documentation. You inherit that control.
Okay, so the core package seems to nail the documentation automation and the continuous monitoring loop pretty well.
It covers a lot of ground.
But our sources were pretty clear that there are two areas that probably need some expansion, maybe specialized add-ons, to be fully, truly CSRMC ready in the long run.
That's right. Those two are robust cyber survivability and more formalized training management.
Which raises that key question again for small businesses. How do they tackle those two potentially complex requirements without suddenly being forced into some hugely expensive enterprise-level solution?
And the answer seems to lie in this highly specialized, often cost-shared add-on strategy that we're seeing emerge in the market.
Okay, tell me about that.
Exactly. So for training, you might need something a bit beyond just tracking module completion. You might need a lightweight, cost-shared model for training evidence tracking.
What does that include?
Things like documenting specific employee certifications, maybe they have a Security Plus cert, or tracking progress against more tailored training plans, but crucially, doing it without the overhead and cost of deploying a full-blown enterprise LMS.
Right. Keeping it focused and affordable. And for survivability, that feels like the most infrastructure-heavy requirement of all.
It does, but again, the approach is often about simplifying it by leveraging cloud investments you've likely already made.
How so?
We're seeing innovative add-ons like a Cyber Survivability Lite package. What this does is specifically integrate with your existing infrastructure logs. For instance, it might automatically pull your AWS backup success logs,
Okay.
and maybe evidence that you've actually tested restoring from those backups recently. It pulls that evidence directly into the compliance dashboard.
Ah, so it proves your resilience and recovery capabilities in near real time.
Exactly. Without requiring you, the contractor, to build custom tools just to monitor your backups. The goal is to provide that real-time evidence, that visibility, at a really affordable add-on price point. Maybe, $75, $300 a month, depending on complexity.
That makes a lot of sense. Keep the core compliance engine affordable and essential, and then only charge extra for these very specific survivability and training proofs that are directly tied to the new CSRMC mandates.
That seems to be the winning strategy.
Okay, now let's touch quickly on the premium options. Our understanding, based on the sources, is that these really aren't for the typical defense contractor, right? These are for more complex, specialized situations.
That's absolutely correct. These premium higher cost options only really become necessary for organizations with truly mission-critical operations, places where even 5 minutes of downtime could genuinely jeopardize a military mission or a critical function. They need that enterprise-grade, almost instant resilience.
Can you give us a concrete example? What kind of need pushes someone into that premium tier? What does mission critical require that these light solutions don't offer?
Sure. So on the training side, if your requirements go way beyond basic tracking, if you need comprehensive training programs with advanced analytics, custom-built curricula, maybe seamless integration with your HR systems for automatic enrollment and skills verification.
Okay, like a major defense prime, maybe?
Yeah, then you're looking at needing full LMS integration, which is a premium offering. And on the survivability side, if you need really advanced features, things like full integration with AWS Resilience Hub, or maybe elastic disaster recovery for near-instant failover, or comprehensive business continuity planning with automated failover capabilities.
Like if one data center goes down, another one spins up automatically.
Precisely. That level of real-time redundancy and automated switchover, that definitely pushes you firmly into the premium tier. It's a different class of requirement.
Okay, that's a really crucial clarification. It really sounds like for the vast majority of defense contractors out there, the core package may be combined with one or both of those targeted light add-ons for training and survivability. That combination should provide really comprehensive policy-aligned coverage. It gets you CMMC certified today, and it addresses the operational demands of CSRMC readiness for tomorrow. And importantly, it does it while keeping things within a sustainable budget.
I think that's right. It reinforces that core message we're seeing from the CSRMC policy shift itself. Effective capability, demonstrable resilience. It doesn't have to mean exponential complexity or massive expense anymore. Not if you leverage automation smartly and make good use of the inheritance offered by your existing cloud platforms.
So, wrapping this up then, what does this all mean for you listening out there? The bottom line is the DoD is strategically changing the rules. They're moving away from RMF's documentation focus towards CSRMC's active emphasis on automation, survivability, and continuous monitoring.
Yeah, the objective here is really twofold. First, obviously maintain your CMMC certification today. That's table stakes.
Can't get contracts without it.
Right. But second, and maybe more strategically important, is to build that demonstrable CSRMC readiness now. Don't wait. Staying ahead of your competitors, positioning yourself to win those future contracts, it really requires adopting these kinds of automated, resilience-focused solutions before the new CSRMC requirements become fully mandatory across the board.
Okay, so final thought for everyone listening. Given that this huge strategic shift from the DoD really hammers home survivability and continuous monitoring, think about this. What existing infrastructure investment, like maybe your use of AWS, which we've mentioned a few times, what investment like that is going to become the single most critical dependency for meeting compliance requirements in this new, highly automated CSRMC world? Especially as the DoD starts demanding more real-time logs and actual evidence of resilience. It's definitely something to mull over as you plan your tech investments for the next few years.